All right, guys, I have some official directions I'm going to give you, okay? So it says, today we will get ready for the How the Brain Works performance task. We'll be learning about different parts of the brain and what they do. First, you're going to participate in a challenge. This is kind of fun. The idea of the challenge is to see how long you can go without blinking. Don't start yet. You may want to choose a spot on the wall that you're going to stare at, or simply stop your eyes from moving to keep them open. Once you blink, and what I'll have you do is stand up, and then you'll sit down once you blink, okay? And when you're finished, you're gonna just sit quietly and you're gonna wait until everyone else is done. Okay, don't try to distract people, don't try to make them laugh. I know what you're gonna try to do. Don't try to do it. Okay, I'll count down from 5, and when I get down, especially you, when I get down to 0, then that'll be when you start. All right, so let's review. You're gonna stand up, not yet. You're going to try not to blink, and then as soon as you blink, you're going to sit down. You ready? Stand up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, don't try to distract anybody.
My eyes are starting to get really dried out.
Then sit down.
Oh, I think I went out of
All right, we got 3 people still.
He's like dancing.
Don't try to distract him. All right, we got 2.
I blinked like 5.
It's Emily. Oh! All right, Caden, you're the winner. All right, good job.
Oh, my eyes are...
All right, let's look up at the screen. It should be why, not who. Why do we blink when we try not to? Why do we breathe without thinking about it? How do we know if water is too hot or cold? How do we know we are being called for dinner? All of those things. I want you to turn to your team, and I want you to discuss the answers to all of those questions. Go. Don't just say your brain. Don't just say your brain and then you're done.
Involuntary actions. Escape through the lie.
We were born with that.
Breathing those are so when you're not breathing, that's like when you're trying to hold your breath.
They're all survival things.
Like when you're trying to hold your breath underwater, your brain tells you.
Rachel, I'm not gonna lie, I blink all the time. I know they got the same way. Cold. And keep my eyes wet.
All right. All right, raise your hand if you have an answer to these questions. What do you think?
So like
Abby.
the breathing thing, so like when we're underwater, it's a survival skill, and so when we're holding our breath, our brain tells us to breathe, so it's just natural instinct.
Okay, so natural instinct. You might say involuntary. Anything else? Any other guesses? Colton?
Nervous system?
Yeah, exactly right. It is the nervous system. That is exactly right, Colton. It is your nervous system. So our brain is the CEO, or the boss, okay, of this system, of the nervous system, and every other system in our body. So on the sheet I gave you, I want you to write a list of 5 things that our brain does. So 5 things. And 5 is the minimum. You can come up with even more than that. Anything that our brain allows us to do. And it can be voluntary or involuntary. All right, so what I've heard from a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say breathe, and I heard a lot of people say blink, all right, because you did that practice. What are some other things?
What moves our muscles?
Moves muscles, sure.
The brain stays in one place, it does not move.
Okay, yes, your brain does stay in the same place.
It beats your heart.
Okay, it helps your heart beat.
Commands muscles to do stuff.
I just said that.
Uh-huh. Now, what are those things that you might do? Move your arm. Could you walk? You could run. You could jump, talk, solve math problems, read, hear, breathe, blink, swallow, stand, grow, remember things, and the list goes on and on. All right, so if you haven't gotten this already, the nervous system controls voluntary and involuntary actions. What is the difference between voluntary and involuntary? What is the difference? What does that mean? Caden?
Involuntary is that your body just does it. It's like you can't control it.
Uh-huh.
Voluntary is you can control it.
Exactly right. So when I put my arm up in the air like this, okay, that's a voluntary action. I chose to put my arm up. Or if I walk to Megan's desk, that was voluntary. I chose to do that. But the fact that my heart is beating, hey, I'm not saying, heart, keep it going. Good job, buddy. All right, it just does it, all right? That's involuntary, okay? So I'm going to pass out to you a picture of the brain. All right, I want you to write down on your, not on the brain picture, on the other paper, as many things that you can think of that a brain does.
Which one?
So on your notes paper, as many things as you can think of, at least 5, that the brain does. What?
Didn't we just do that?
Yeah, we just did
We
that.
just did that.
It doesn't have a problem.
Oh, you know what? We're gonna come back to this one. We're gonna come back. Because we're gonna do something with that at the end. All right. So here's your brain picture, okay? So you've got that in front of you. All right, everybody see it? Everybody got yours? All right. So as we discuss the different parts of the brain, write down the name of the part of brain you think would be responsible for that action. So what I want you to do, looking at this picture and looking at the definitions here, I want you to try to figure out. So it says one of them is front of the brain, the other one is back of the brain, and the other is bottom of the brain. Write in what you think the correct answer is into the blank. So there's 3 parts we're looking at.
Are we supposed to do that now?
Yeah, fill it in now with the 3 parts, with what you think the answer is. Okay, everybody got the 3? What you think the answers are? All right, let's do the first one. Cerebrum. Did you get that one right? The front of the brain, the thinking part of the brain that controls voluntary muscles, contains memory, and helps you reason. When we say helps you reason, helps you decide, make decisions. So fill in those blanks. Okay, everybody got that one? Let's go to the next one. Cerebellum. The back of the brain controls balance, movement, and coordination. Does anybody here do yoga? If you've ever done yoga before, you're working out your cerebellum. You ever do that exercise where you stand on one foot and you bring your foot back here and you stand like this? You like that stretch? Anyone do that before? If you're ever doing this stretch where you pull your leg back and you're trying to stretch right here, you're working out your cerebellum, that controlling your balance, your movement and coordination.
Does a scorpion do that too?
What's the scorpion?
Is
that a yoga move?
It's like, put your foot up, you like, take it over your head.
Yes. I can't do that, but for the people who can, controlling balance, movement, and coordination, we'll try that later. All right, brainstem, that's the last one. Bottom of the brain, responsible for basic functions of the body. Connects brain to spinal cord. All right, so the brainstem is pretty small, but it's responsible for basic vital functions of the body. Okay, and it is in charge of all the basic actions that need to happen for your body to function. So what I want you to write down are some of those actions. Okay, what are the basic actions that the brainstem is responsible for? And I'm going to give you a big hint. It controls the involuntary muscles in your body. So in that case, think about involuntary muscles. So think of things inside your body that just happen. You're not trying to make them happen, they just do. All right, I want you to turn to your team. Person number 2, go first. And then 3, 4, and 1. Person number 2, go. All right, so I think every group said breathing. I heard breathing from everybody. So yes, breathing air is something. You're sleeping in bed. You're not thinking in your dreams. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. All right, what else? Your heart beating. Sure. You're not telling your heart to beat. What else? Yes, your digestive system. You don't eat your food and then say, all right, come on, body, get digesting. It just does. And then, Alden, what did you just say? Your blood flowing, your blood circulating through your body. Or you're not telling your body to do that. It just does. Your brainstem is in charge of that. Okay, so it helps control involuntary muscles. So go ahead and write that in your notes. The brainstem helps control involuntary muscles. Got that?
Yeah.
All right. So the brainstem tells your heart to pump faster when you're exercising and tells your stomach to digest your meals. All right, next, pituitary gland. The middle of your brain, it controls growth by producing and releasing hormones. All right, so how do you think a message gets from your brain to your toes, or from your toes to your brain? Turn to your team. Talk to your team. How do you think that happens?
Spinal cord.
All right, what do you guys think? Yeah, it's your nerves. Okay, your nerves are responsible for that. Okay? All right, so in your small groups, well, we already did that. We won't talk about that. We already talked about that, so we'll go to the next one. All right, so nerves transmit messages to brain or spinal cord, or transmit messages from the brain to muscles and organs. So fill that in. So your nerves are a kind of a big deal. Because without your nerves, like for instance, my grandpa who had a stroke, okay, his nerves are not working right anymore. Okay, so he might send a message from his brain to his arm and say, move, but he can't do that because he has nerve damage. So he's unable, even though his brain is saying, move your right arm, he can't do it, okay, because of his nerves. Yes.
Is that like what paralyzed is?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so inside your body is a very complicated highway system of tiny nerves that connect all the parts of your body to your brain so that messages can get back and forth. Okay, so obviously your brain is really important. So what do you think are some ways that you can keep your brain strong and healthy? Okay, I want you to write that down at the bottom. So what are some ways to keep your brain strong and healthy? All right, tell me, what are some things you guys came up with?
Don't drink or do drugs.
All right, don't drink or do drugs. That's a great one. Okay, that can definitely affect you. Yes?
I said that, and I also said wear protection on the head.
Okay,
While
yeah.
riding a bike and stuff.
Riding a bike, or if you ever get on a motorcycle, or you should always have, yes, that is the sound a motorcycle makes. Put headgear on, some protection on your head. Yes, what else?
I said good exercise.
Exercise, absolutely. Absolutely, that helps your brain.
Like continue to learn things.
Yeah, continue to learn things. They've interviewed a lot of people who are, you know, in the 90s or older and tried to figure out how did they live so long. But one of them is they worked out their brain. They did crossword puzzles, or they were continuing to keep thinking. Caden, what were you going to say?
What you just said, do puzzles and...
Puzzles, sure. And it doesn't just have to be crossword puzzles, but any kind of puzzles, any kind of thing where you're working out your brain. Okay, anything else? Eating healthy, yes. Sleeping. Did you guys sleep well last night?
Yeah, I thought
What?
last night.
All right, well, tomorrow's map testing, so you better sleep well. Sleep well tonight. All right, here's the last thing I'm going to have you do. What I want you to do is go back up to the top where you wrote down as many things as you could think of that the brain does. What I want you to do, use the information that you have on your sheet and write down, just do an arrow next to each of those actions and say what part of the brain was in charge of that. So like if you put thinking, I mean that one's maybe one of the easier ones because part of the definition of cerebrum is part of the brain, thinking part of the brain. So I'll give you that one. Thinking is cerebrum. So just next to it, put which part of the brain was in charge of that action. A few more seconds. All right, we're going to start with person number 4. And I don't want you to do all of them, just pick 2. 2 of the actions that you wrote down and say from those 2, what part of the brain was in charge of those. Okay, start with person number 4. Go. All right, guys, here's our last thing. In the performance task tomorrow, you will be learning about what the brain does. Okay, so hopefully we helped you feel a little bit better about that. The information that we talked about today should help prepare you for the research and writing you will do in the performance task. Okay, so hopefully now you feel a little bit better about what you're doing tomorrow.